Hi, welcome to V.I.P Yoga, Variations for Individualized Practice. So this is going to be a tutorial class in which we play around with different variations of a specific pose. Today we're going to look at versions of twist pose, and we'll be doing those versions seated, standing, lying, using a chair. As always, we'll use many different props for our variations. You'll see my prop setup over on the mat. Gather all the props that you might need or might not think you need. Have blocks, have bolsters, have blankets. The more props, the merrier, because we're going to find ways to make twist poses work best for your body. That's the variations part. That's the individualized part. We're not going to come up with every single variety that you can do, but I'm going to give you many different options that you can try and bring to class. So join me over by the mat. All right, we're going to start with a couple seated versions of twist. I'm going to show you a bent knee or a straight leg version, and then we'll start to get into the many different variations. So I'm going to start with, I'll take my leg that's further from the camera, cross it over, and I'm going to bend my bottom leg so that it comes in. So this is a half fish pose, and I'll be twisting toward the top leg. So that's away from the camera, away from you, in this direction. So that's a simple version of the twist that can feel really nice on the hips if your legs feel okay in this position. For many people, it doesn't. So the first option that we can change that from half fish to a stage 3 twist. And in this case, my bottom leg is extended out. My top leg is still bent. I'm still turning toward the top leg. So that's a simple version of that twist. Then we start to vary. Now the variations, the first things we can vary are our limbs, our legs and our arms. So the first thing I can do, if this feels too tight in the center and I just don't have room to twist around my body, I can take this top leg and simply not cross it over. And I can have my legs about hip width apart. I can have them wider apart. So we can vary that to find greater comfort in this pose. And then you're still twisting toward the top leg. And each time we twist, of course, we want to allow our spine to be straight or be as upright as possible before we twist. And so that's where the next variation comes in. But if you're finding that your spine is rounding or slumping and it's hard to get it long and upright, we can put something under our bottom to tilt our pelvis forward a little bit. So I'm going to grab my trusty blanket. I'll show it the other way, twisting toward you this time. So sitting right on the edge of my blanket, and you can sit on something higher, you can be on a bolster, on a block. That allows me to tilt my pelvis forward a little bit more. It gives the angle between my torso and legs more room, and then I can have an even more upright spine, can breathe in and grow long in my spine, and then this time I'll be twisting toward the camera. Your backhand can go wherever is comfortable. So we can vary the legs, we can vary the arms as well. Maybe the backhand goes on the block, maybe it goes more to your hip rather than behind you. It's kind of like a little kickstand, so you put it wherever you need the support. So we can do that same version of the pose. Another way we can use our hands is against the wall. I'm actually going to use my trunk over here as a wall. I'm going to turn to face you so you get to see the pose from that direction. I'll still sit on my blanket, so I'm going to scooch that behind me. One knee bent, one knee straight, one leg straight, and now you can see that pose again and how we can adjust the width of the legs to make the pose more comfortable. I'm going to breathe in and grow upright, and then as I exhale, I twist around the area of my rib cage, and here's my wall where I can push against the wall to help me get a little bit more twist here if needed. And you'll see that when we do the standing version as well. So that's several versions of a seated twist. You can play around with those different varieties if you're in class and adjust the pose to you. Now I'm going to grab my chair. So we'll start with seated on the chair. And if you have a chair with arms, my chair doesn't have arms, so I'm going to pretend that I have arms on my chair. You can use the arms. The legs can have as many variations as lying on the floor, seated, or we'll show you lying at the end. So if you want to cross your legs and twist to a cross leg, you can, or you can keep your legs flat, and that's how I'm going to do it today. So if I had arms, I'd breathe in and grow tall, Exhale, begin to turn around my thoracic spine, and then I could simply hold on here with the arms. So I could use the armrest as a little bit of leverage. Pull gently, just like we did, pull or push gently, just like we did using our trunk as the wall. So I'll show you another version of that, this time using the back of the chair. So I'll turn my chair sideways. And then with the chair sideways, you can actually sit on the chair sideways. And here you can see how we'll use the back of the chair. So I'll breathe in and grow tall. That's always the first step in our twist, is to grow long in the spine. Exhale, begin twisting around the area of the rib cage. And then I place my hands, and I could do a little gentle push-pull action. So I'm pushing with one hand, pulling a little bit with the other. And you can play either one, see how that feels right in your spine. One other thing about twists is you can vary the position of your neck as well. So for most of these, I'm looking toward the camera. The head can always be centered in the chest. You can look in the same direction of your twist, or you can look all the way in the opposite direction. And that's part of your individualized practice, seeing how that twist feels on your neck. Do you want to continue it up the same direction of the spine and go the same direction with the head? Or does your neck need a little bit of a stretch in the opposite direction? It's all good as long as it feels comfortable in your body with no sharp stinging pain that doesn't feel right for your body. So we'll come to standing. So for standing, one version of the twist, I'll show you on either leg, is to place a foot on the chair. And this is pretty similar to what we did on a seated version, is we're just turning toward that bent leg. And you can gently rest your hands over your leg. And then another version is we can use the wall, and that's why I wanted to be right here near the wall. You know, to switch to the other leg. And so when I twist to this leg, I can use the wall as a prop in my twist. I can also use the wall for balance, like I'm doing right now. So as I exhale, turn toward the wall, and then I just get that little bit of leverage with the wall to gently help me move a little bit more into my twist. I can even twist my hands a little bit more around. All right, so that's our seated version, our standing version, and I think you know that my favorite way to do most poses is on the floor, so I want to show you a few versions on the floor. I have a blanket here, so I'm going to pull out the blanket to use as an option, and actually I have a bolster too, so we're also going to use the bolster as an option. So come down to lying on your back if you're following along, or that's the next step that you would do if you're practicing some of these twists. And remember that we can vary our legs and our arms in any shape. So I'm going to lie on my back, and I'm going to take my legs into a chair shape. So knees bent over the hips. Of course, they can be wider apart, closer together, lower, higher. All of those things you can vary. And I'll take my knees down toward you, and you'll see I have the bolster there. If knees don't comfortably reach the floor, having them right on the bolster is a great option. They don't have to be on the bolster. You can take your knees to the floor. I would recommend try it both ways. You might find that different ways work better for you on different days. And then if there's any discomfort between my knees, or you just don't like how that feels, this is where a blanket comes in handy to put right between the knees. Now you can switch. You can have blocks. If you don't have a blanket handy, you can use a towel. So feel free to use whatever. You have a pillow would work great between the legs here. And then just like we did standing, you have an option, change how you want the neck. Either look toward your twist, look away, and also option with your arms. You can take your arms out into a T. You can have them in goalpost or cactus arms. You can place them up by your head. You can rest them on your legs. So try all the versions. Find what's right for you. And remember, what's right for you today might be different tomorrow. So I want to finish out by showing you a couple more versions for the legs. So the first other version I want to show you is the same thing that we just did, except straightening the one leg. So I'm going to straighten the leg closer to you, keep the other leg bent, and then just turn with the one leg. It's the same kind of effect, except now my bottom leg is straight, my top leg resting on the bolster. This might look a little more similar to the Sage 3 that we did seated, so if you like that option seated, you could try it this way. And then just like we did the half fish seated with both knees bent, I can bend both knees. Sometimes this is called eagle leg twist. And I can take my legs, both legs over, using the bolster or something to rest or not. Sometimes because my thighs are a little bit larger, I find that this isn't as comfortable for me. It puts a little stress on my groin, so you might find that that doesn't work for you. Maybe it does. And then the last version of the twist I want to show you is a little bit more of an openness with the legs in kind of a figure 4 or your reclined pigeon shape. I admit this is one of my very favorite versions. And then you take the top leg, you take that foot toward the floor, keeping the figure 4 shape, and the foot can come down to a bolster. I'm going to scooch it out of the way so you can see it can come all the way to the floor. It can come to a block. And I really like this. I feel this even more in my outer hip a little bit. And that's what you're going for in a functional yoga practice, is where you want to feel the practice and how it feels in your body. So I'm going to come to rolling back up to face you. So those are our different versions of our twist pose. As I said, it's many different versions. It's not every different version of a twist that's available out there, but it's some ideas for you to personalize your own practice, to take these ideas and experiment and play. I want yoga to be fun, and I also want it to feel good in your body. So I hope this is helpful. If you like these VIP yoga practices, you can find more and message me below with any questions or concerns. Thanks so much. Have a great day.